2.0 on the cards. Top government sources are telling India today New Delhi can take similar and go action if on other terrorist bases in Pakistan in the coming hours and days if Pakistan retaliates. The purpose is to tell Pakistan not to escalate. Should Pakistan continue to escalate, whether it's the use of Pakistan armed forces or the use of terror as an instrument of state policy, there will be a befitting response. During the post-operation briefing, and this was a briefing where the Foreign Secretary of India, Vikram Misri, briefed journalists. There was Colonel Sofia Qureshi, a signals officer of the Indian Army, and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, who spoke to journalists, giving them details about the targeting of Pakistani terror bases. Some were hit, but some more. They are there on that list, and we'll get you that list on India Today. Is there more to the list of Pakistani camps? Now look at that list that we are putting out on your television screen, and we will analyze this list in just a moment from now. Operation Sindoor 2.0. Take a look at that list on your television screen. Multiple targets taken, some that can still be taken. And with me is my colleague Sandeep Unnithan. Sandeep and I have covered counter-terror operations in our country and Pakistani state-sponsored radical Islamist terror bleeding us for decades in the past. And Sandeep, let's take a look at this case. Savai Nala, that's already been targeted. But Sayyidina Bilal, number 2 on that list, that has still not been targeted. And I want to show this. So this is the line of control. Number 2 is right here. That has still not been targeted. What's the signal here, Sandeep?
Gaurav, the signal is very clear. We have hit you. We have hit you in a way that we have never done before. And we can hit you again if you choose to retaliate, if you choose to escalate the offensive. And if Pakistan chooses to escalate, then you will see all of those red lights that are there on that list. Those will be lit up, Gaurav. And these are all those camps. These are all those terror launch pads all along the line of control in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which we've been hearing of for decades, Gaurav.
Yes.
These have been there from the dawn of militancy. Chela Bandi, Sayyidina Bilal, Dulai, Batrasi, these are all the launch pads. These are the part of the terrorist infrastructure from where Pakistan and the Pakistan army used to launch terrorists across the line of control to carry out terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir.
Remember, it's very significant. Whatever is being done, the messaging from the government, I want you to understand this messaging. They've put out this entire list of 21, but only 9 have been targeted. It's in plain sight. It's in plain sight for all to see. Those in the red, number 2, number 4, number 6, Dulai, number 8, Batrasi, number 10, Oghi, number 12, Sensa, number 14, Kotli has already been targeted, number 16, Dungi, Barnala has already been targeted, Memuna Joya has been targeted, Sarjal has been targeted, Muridke has been targeted, Bahawalpur has been targeted, but there are several others that have not been targeted. Is that an indication from Government of India? If Pakistan escalates, these can be targeted, but if Pakistan escalates and targets a military installation, because we have no terrorist launch pads, we have no terrorist training camps, India is not a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror the way Pakistan is, so we're a clean country.
Absolutely.
If they target any of these points, you know, you have a brigade headquarters.
One target, Pakistani terror masterminds. Operation Sindoor decoded. Big focus on India first.
Now, this offensive was barely a couple of kilometers away from the 31 Corps headquarters of the Pakistan Army at Bahawalpur. Pakistan also has a secret nuclear facility not far from that area. And just a couple of kilometers away from the 4 Corps headquarters of the Pakistan Army at Muridke, or close to Lahore. Muridke is where Lashkar-e-Taiba has its headquarters. Now, these attacks would have sent a chill down Pakistan Army's spine. And why? Sandeep Unnithan and I will tell you much more about this over the course of the next 1 hour, and we'll be joined by several military experts and analysts. Now, why? Because the the Rafale fighters that can fire the Scalp cruise missile and the Hammer bombs at terror headquarters in Pakistan, if they can fire at the terror headquarters, in case Pakistan dares to escalate, in case Pakistan dares to strike at any military installation, at any brigade headquarters or a division or a corps headquarters in India or a vital asset or vital point, clearly the Pakistan Army Corps headquarters and even our para, the ISI headquarters, the GHQ in Rawalpindi, will they not be directly in the line of fire of the Scalps, the Hammers and much more, including the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles that the Indian Armed Forces have? We get to these details. Will Pakistan escalate? What is the meaning of the blackout exercises that are currently underway across multiple districts in our country? We get you all these details. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Breaking news coming in. Is Pakistan now gearing up for Operation Sindoor 2.0? Is Operation Sindoor 2.0 on the cards? Top government sources are telling India today New Delhi can take similar and go action if on other terrorist bases in Pakistan in the coming hours and days if Pakistan retaliates. The purpose is to tell Pakistan not to escalate. Should Pakistan continue to escalate, whether it's the use of Pakistan armed forces or the use of terror as an instrument of state policy, there will be a befitting response. During the post-operation briefing, and this was a briefing where the Foreign Secretary of India, Vikram Misri, briefed journalists. There was Colonel Sofia Qureshi, a signals officer of the Indian Army, and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, who spoke to journalists, giving them details about the targeting of Pakistani terror bases. Some were hit, but some more. They are there on that list, and we'll get you that list on India Today. Is there more to the list of Pakistani camps? Now look at that list that we are putting out on your television screen, and we will analyze this list in just a moment from now. Operation Sindoor 2.0. Take a look at that list on your television screen. Multiple targets taken, some that can still be taken. And with me is my colleague Sandeep Unnithan. Sandeep and I have covered counter-terror operations in our country and Pakistani state-sponsored radical Islamist terror bleeding us for decades in the past. And Sandeep, let's take a look at this case. Savai Nala, that's already been targeted. But Sayyidina Bilal, number 2 on that list, that has still not been targeted. And I want to show this. So this is the line of control. Number 2 is right here. That has still not been targeted. What's the signal here, Sandeep?
Gaurav, the signal is very clear. We have hit you in a way that we have never done before, and we can hit you again if you choose to retaliate, if you choose to escalate the offensive. And if Pakistan chooses to escalate, then you will see all of those red lights that are there on that list. Those will be lit up, Gaurav. And these are all those camps, these are all those terror launch pads all along the line of control in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which we've been hearing of for decades, Gaurav.
Yes.
These have been there from the dawn of militancy. Chela Bandi, Sayyidina Bilal, Dulai, Batrasi, these are all the launch pads. These are the part of the terrorist infrastructure from where Pakistan and the Pakistan Army used to launch terrorists across the line of control to carry out terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir.
Remember, it's very significant. Whatever is being done, the messaging from the government, I want you to understand this messaging. They've put out this entire list of 21, but only 9 have been targeted. It's in plain sight. It's in plain sight for all to see. Those in the red, number 2, number 4, number 6, Dulai, number 8, Batrasi, number 10, Oghi, number 12, Sensa, number 14, Kotli has already been targeted, number 16, Dungi, Barnala has already been targeted, Memuna Joya has been targeted, Sarjal has been targeted, Muridke has been targeted, Bahawalpur has been targeted, but there are several others that have not been targeted. Is that an indication from Government of India? If Pakistan escalates, these can be targeted, but if Pakistan escalates and targets a military installation, because we have no terrorist launchpads. We have no terrorist training camps. India is not a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror the way Pakistan is. So we're a clean country.
Absolutely.
If they target any of these points, you know, you have a brigade headquarters, you have a division headquarters, you have a corps headquarters, and you have actually 3 different corps headquarters in Jammu and Kashmir and more. If that were to happen, the consequences for Pakistan won't just be limited to these terror camps.
Absolutely. It will move on to the Pakistan military, Gaurav. And the messaging from Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri was very clear today. It was a very strong message. But if you read between the lines, he was leaving space for Pakistan to de-escalate. He said that the Indian response was retaliation, it was swift, it was proportionate, and most importantly, there was an element of de-escalation built into his statement. Now, if Pakistan chose to follow that,
yes,
there would be no strike from Pakistan. But if they didn't, if General Asim Munir decides to become General Pervez Musharraf, for instance, there will be something else coming for him. As you explained, we will have to hit military targets in Pakistan, because the targets that we have on our side of the border, as you said, there is no terrorist infrastructure on our side of the border. If they target Indian military installations, if they target our air bases, if they target our brigade headquarters, corps headquarters, all of that, the response will be this time against the Pakistan military.
And the response this time, because just now it was for effect, and the fact that a Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters has been targeted, a Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters has been targeted, that was never done before. Remember, we have faced the brunt of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed terror in our country for decades. We were too polite. We were too polite. We only expected and hoped Pakistan would take action. Perhaps a surgical strike once in 2016, a serious Balakot airstrike in 2019, but that didn't deter the terror state. This time, Terror Central has been hit and hit hard. 9 targets, but multiple missiles, much more than 9 missiles, more than 25 missiles, we are told, is what sources are telling India today, when the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed was targeted in the southern part of Punjab province at Bahawalpur. It's a corps headquarters of the Pakistan Army, 31 corps headquarters. Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters in Muridke, not very far from the 4 corps headquarters in Lahore. Now, not one but multiple missile strikes, not just in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but also in Pakistan's Punjab province. This is what hurts that Pakistani Punjabi Musalman mindset that wants to target India or creates that Kashmir issue, because that's as many argue, it's restricted from Raiwind to Rawalpindi. It's nowhere else in Pakistan. That is what some people say. Only proper Pakistan wants to wage war against India. The others are quite happy. But there are some reports that say between 80 and 100 terrorists have been neutralized. Can you imagine that the Pakistan Army attended the namaz-e-janaza of the terrorists who'd been killed? Pakistan Army in uniform, and a wreath was laid on behalf of the Chief of the Army Staff, and a clear indication, which means some VVIP terrorist was clearly neutralized.
अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है.
It was a promise made to the nation after the Pahalgam massacre. Now it has been delivered. The 9 targets on the hit list included 3 high-profile targets: Muridke, Bahawalpur and Muzaffarabad. Each of these locations pivotal as they are training and breeding grounds of terror. This is Lashkar-e-Taiba's headquarters in Muridke, just 50 kilometers away from Lahore, the epicenter of terror used to launch terrorists into India. The facility trained the 26/11 Mumbai attackers, including Ajmal Kasab. It hosted conspirators such as David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Rana. Osama bin Laden had once donated $10 billion to this center. After Operation Sindoor, Hafiz Saeed's terror den is reduced to rubble. Another key location hit, Markaz Subhanallah in Bahawalpur, which houses the Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters. Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar acknowledged the attacks and accepted that 10 members of his family have been killed in the missile attacks by India. Another mosque linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed was also destroyed. This Jaish-e-Mohammed facility in Muzaffarabad served as a major transit camp for terrorists. Pakistani army officials provided training to terrorists at this camp. Among the other camps destroyed, Bhimbar, Kotli Gulpur, Kotli Abbas camps in POK and Sarjal camp in Sialkot.
The point of impact in each of the target was a specific building or a group of buildings. All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency, and the results reiterate the professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces in the planning and execution of their operations. No military establishments were targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response.
The victims of Pahalgam have been served justice in a series of punitive strikes on Pakistan. The mission is not over yet. India is on a high alert to foil any retaliation that Pakistan may attempt. Bureau Report, India Today.
There is clear and present danger. Will Pakistan retaliate? Is that what is on Asim Munir's mind? Joining me now on this India Today special broadcast is Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Chinar Corps commander. Incidentally, he was the corps commander at the time of the post-Uri surgical strike. Also with me is Air Marshal Anil Khosla, former Vice Chief of Air Staff. These are two men who understand the Pakistani mind well, and especially the mind of the Pakistani military. General Dua, will Pakistan retaliate? Will Pakistan retaliate militarily? And if so, in your appreciation, what's that window of Pakistan's retaliation?
Gaurav, allow me 10 seconds to say, before I answer you, to say that it fills me with immense professional pride as to what India has achieved today with all these strikes. The Prime Minister announced to the world that we will get at the terrorists and also their backers and the terror ecosystem. And having seen the earlier surgical strike and the Pulwama, the precision air strike, I think that message has been well delivered. Coming now to your question. Since India has actually struck at the terror ecosystem, as Prime Minister announced, and you pointed out in great detail over the last 10 minutes. So, not repeating all that, but the fact of the matter is that we have struck only at terrorist headquarters, their training hubs, and other hubs, all told. So, Pakistan has already begun by heating up the LOC. That's something that they always do. They've already started. We've had sad loss of 9 civilian casualties, including a woman and 2 children in Punch Rajouri area. That they've started. But they don't have we don't have terrorist camps here for them to strike. So what will they strike at? Surely their only targets will be military installations nearby. That means close to the LOC, as they did after Balakot strikes. However ineffective they were, they tried to target some military installations very close to the LOC. So those are the targets that they are likely to hit at present. But India is very well prepared for such a response. You know, such contingencies are always worked out. Whenever these war rooms, you see these discussions taking place, some of them you don't even see, but some you have been reporting for the last 10 days or more. So all contingencies are being worked out. We always say these are the options, and then what will happen, what can happen, what can be the consequence, and how are we prepared for that.
Fair enough. General, give me a moment, because I want our viewers to take a look at some videos that India Today reported from ground zero in Muridke. That's right, the year was 2010. And I want you to look at a video that we're about to put out on your television screens for you, where you will see India Today reporting from the terror central, from the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba in Muridke. That is the Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters. India Today was right there in 2010, barely 2 years after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. This is Terror Central. We were reporting from ground zero. As you get into that lane in Muridke and you enter, that's the Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters. And 2010, we were reporting from there. The mastermind of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. You will see that's behind that red. Look at those armed men who are protecting Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. There is no, they claim it's a madrasa, but it's a terror training camp in Pakistan. We've been reporting that story. Air Marshal Khosla, the entire world knew that was Terror Central. Why is it that it's only in 2025 after Pahalgam that Terror Central has been targeted? Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters at Muridke and Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters at Bahawalpur. Why not earlier? What makes this strike very different, sir?
Gaurav, the answer to your question is very, very simple. This time they really crossed a red line. And the red line was, they have attacked innocent tourist civilians, unarmed, in front of their wives and children. Really a heinous act. And the patience of Indian military, Indian decision makers, India as a country, Indian citizens has totally run out. And that is why, if you see, like we are given enough chance
have been killed in the missile attacks by India. The facility in Muzaffarabad served as a major transit camp for terrorists. Pakistani army officials provided training to terrorists at this camp. Among the other camps destroyed, India is on a high alert. The mission is not over yet. India is on a high alert to foil any retaliation that Pakistan may attempt. Bureau Report, India Today.
There is clear and present danger. Will Pakistan retaliate? Is that what is on Asim Munir's mind? Joining me now on this India Today special broadcast is Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Chinar Corps commander. Incidentally, he was the corps commander at the time of the post-Uri surgical strike. Also with me is Air Marshal Anil Khosla, former Vice Chief of Air Staff. These are two men who understand the Pakistani mind well, and especially the mind of the Pakistani military. General Dua, will Pakistan retaliate? Will Pakistan retaliate militarily? And if so, in your appreciation, what's that window of Pakistan's retaliation?
Gaurav, allow me 10 seconds to say, before I answer you, to say that it fills me with immense professional pride as to what India has achieved today with all these strikes. The Prime Minister announced to the world that we will get at the terrorists and also their backers and the terror ecosystem. And having seen the earlier surgical strike and the Pulwama, the precision airstrike, I think that message has been well delivered. Coming now to your question. Since India has actually struck at the terror ecosystem, as Prime Minister announced, and you pointed out in great detail over the last 10 minutes. So, not repeating all that, but the fact of the matter is that we have struck only at terrorist headquarters, their training hubs, and other hubs, all told. So, Pakistan has already begun by heating up the LOC. That's something that they always do. They've already started. We've had sad loss of 9 civilian casualties, including a woman and 2 children in Punch Rajouri area. That they've started. But they don't have we don't have terrorist camps here for them to strike. So what will they strike at? Surely their only targets will be military installations nearby. that means close to the LOC, as they did after Balakot strikes. However ineffective they were, they tried to target some military installations very close to the LOC. So those are the targets that they are likely to hit at present. But India is very well prepared for such a response. Such contingencies are always worked out. Whenever these war rooms, you see these discussions taking place. Some of them you don't even see, but some you have been reporting for the last 10 days or more. So all contingencies are being worked out. We always say these are the options, and then what will happen, what can happen, what can be the consequence, and how are we prepared for that.
Fair enough. General, give me a moment, because I want our viewers to take a look at some videos that India Today reported from ground zero in Muridke. That's right. The year was 2010. And I want you to look at a video that we are about to put out on your television screens for you, where you will see India Today reporting from the terror central, from the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba in Muridke. That is the Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters. India Today was right there in 2010, barely 2 years after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. This is Terror Central. We were reporting from ground zero. As you get into that lane in Muridke and you enter, that's the Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters. And 2010, we were reporting from there. The mastermind of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. You will see that's behind that red. Look at those armed men who are protecting Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. There is no, they claim it's a madrasa, but it's a terror training camp in Pakistan. We've been reporting that story. Air Marshal Khosla, the entire world knew that was Terror Central. Why is it that it's only in 2025 after Pahalgam that Terror Central has been targeted? Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters at Muridke and Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters at Bahawalpur. Why not earlier? What makes this strike very different, sir?
Gaurav, the answer to your question is very, very simple. This time they really crossed a red line. And the red line was, they have attacked innocent tourist civilians, unarmed, in front of their wives and children. Really a heinous act. And the patience of Indian military, Indian decision makers, India as a country, Indian citizens has totally run out. And that is why, if you see, we are given enough chance to Pakistan to mend its ways. We went escalatory, slowly, after every event. Even Balakot, only one target was attacked. In this case, 9 have been attacked, which is a very, very clear-cut message that we have finished now with this cat and mouse game. And if you don't mend your ways, we are going to come in a big way, and we have the capability and we have the resolve now. The whole country is united, and we are going to come for you. That is a big message, and that is why this, as the general said, the ecosystem has been attacked. 9 targets, out of which 2 are the headquarters. Then quite a few are very, very important training centers for jungle training, survival training, suicide bomber training, and also launch pads, which they vacate in any case after any trigger event. So it's a mix of targets, and the message is very, very clear.
Okay. Will this message be read loud and clear by General Asim Munir, Sandeep? If you were to read the jihadi general's mind, a sane general would realize conventionally Indian Army is far superior. This is not a reason to escalate it to a nuclear threshold. Does he have an option to escalate, or he doesn't have an option to escalate? What would Asim Munir be doing? What would those jihadi generals at General Headquarters Rawalpindi be doing?
To go into their jihadi mindset, Gaurav, would be to look at a very unpredictable set of military people. And these military officers of Pakistan who basically planned and executed the Pahalgam attack, that massacre, which was one of the stupidest things to do, because for the first time, Gaurav, let's remember, in all these decades of terrorism, Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. This is the first time that the Pakistan military and the Pakistan army chief is being called out for a terror strike. It's never happened before.
Yes.
Not even in the times of General Pervez Musharraf, the man who planned Kargil and possibly even 26/11 Mumbai. This is the
Yes.
first time that the Pakistan military is being called out for a terror strike. So that is another red line that's been crossed, Gaurav. And to go into his mind, Gaurav, unpredictable as ever. It remains to be seen whether he has the ammunition, he has the resolve to take that escalation ladder that we have shown him.
Or
We have
does
shown
he
him.
realize that we are now more unpredictable than he is? Not even in his wildest dreams would he have thought that India will hit 9 targets across POJK and Bahawalpur and Muridke. Terra Central.
400 kilometers
400
across
kilometers.
Pakistan. Gaurav.
Absolutely.
POK
And it could have been
to southern
wider.
Punjab. You're looking at a full swath of territory that has been targeted. So, like you said, the unpredictability is on our side as well. So he must be deeply psyched by what he's been seeing.
Because he
over the
doesn't
last
know
couple
what
of
we can
hours.
do next.
Exactly.
He doesn't know what
the
we
next
can do
steps,
next. And
next steps
some
of the
it-
escalation ladder.
And next step, because we are on top of that escalation ladder and I have 2 military experts who will tell us that, because the Indian Navy ships are already in the North Arabian Sea. And then there are a couple of aces up India's sleeve, which he does not know about. And he is no longer friends with his other neighbor across either Afghanistan or Iran. But unlike in the past, why is this counter-terror measure taken by India unprecedented? I want you to take a look at that. Operation Sindoor was technologically extremely robust, expansive, over 400 kilometers from north to south. The mission was an air-to-ground operation involving the deployment of all assets, multi-domain operation, air, sea, land-based assets. For air, fully equipped Rafale Omni-Role fighter jets of the Indian Air Force operating from deep within the Indian territory. They didn't cross the LC like in Balakot, as in the Mirage 2000s did. Then we didn't have the Rafales in 2019, sadly. But supported by the Su-30 MKIs, the air dominance fighters, the Mirage 2000 multi-role fighters, the mid-air refuelers, the airborne early warning systems, the UAVs, all deployed and vigilant. And I want you to look at these images. These are AI-generated images to give you a fair idea about how this was done. And Air Marshal Khosla, in your appreciation, unprecedented, but the disinformation warfare that Pakistan is waging, from their Defense Minister Khwaja Asif to their DG ISPR to their leadership, when they talk about the alleged losses on the Indian side, how would you respond to that disinformation campaign, sir?
Yeah, so disinformation campaign is and propaganda is a part of warfare these days. And DSPR has been very, very active in earlier cases also. And but the only issue is, like they say, nakal ke liye akal chahiye. They've been doing it without, applying their mind and then keep backtracking. Balakot, it happened in one day. They backtracked their 3 of their statements. This time also, if you see, they have been backtracking, making some statements and backtracking. And people realize that, they're just making a fool out of themselves and them. So this is a part of this thing. Gaurav, just allow me 1 minute to, the earlier issue, which was a very, very important issue, which you covered, the mindset of the army chief. To my mind, it's a desperate man trying, is in a desperate situation in the country, and that is why he's taking desperate measure. The country is economically in ruins. Militarily, the country is running on borrowed money, but the same money is being spent on the military. Military is not cut down their expenditure. Actually, it has gone up. And he's losing, he's got problems on all his borders. He's losing credibility. The reason letter is, anti-India sentiments. So in this desperation, I think he's taken these steps, but he's chewed more. He's, chewed more than what he can swallow.
Okay.
To my mind, Pakistan's ultimate solution can come only from their citizens, if they realize that they have been taken for a ride and they realize that the army is, taking the country backwards. Okay. That is the only solution, to my mind, in the long term.
Long term, but short term, the immediate retaliation. General Dua, in your appreciation, has he bitten more than he can chew? Because the Pakistani army mindset, they're supposed to be radical jihadists, but at the same time, many call them a terror army that have access to nuclear weapons, fighter jets, tanks, armored personal carriers, and even ships and submarines. But the same mindset of a Hafiz Saeed and a Masood Azhar. Would he be reacting as if his brothers have been killed? Because what would you make of the wreath laying at a body at Murid Ke, at the mortal remains at Murid Ke, a military guard of honor for the person who was in that coffin, and a wreath laid on behalf of the Chief of the Army Staff of Pakistan?
Gaurav, wreath laying clearly indicates how hand in glove they are with the terrorists, something that we've known all along and the world has known all along. And talking of mindsets, it is amongst other battles, the kinetic strikes, the Indus water, the diplomatic measures, and everything else. Make no mistakes, it is also a battle of the mind space.
Yes.
You see, the kind of my phone, my handle has been not hacked. I mean, there is a fake handle going around passing on vile information from Pakistan side. I will put it that. An hour ago, I was at a channel, Al Arabia channel, speaking with the Pakistan MP Fawad Chaudhry, and the kind of things they spoke, the kind of propaganda they believe in is almost exhausting. So,
Yeah.
the point I would like to end with is we also must engage in this battle of narratives.
Yes.
And also, I think we have to strike, I think, beyond the terror infrastructure, because the terror infrastructure, like you said, is being run by the Pakistan army. And how do we do it? I think we have to make the Pakistan army unpopular within their country, and it is happening. It is happening after the Indus Water Treaty thing. The riots have started in Sindh. There are protests breaking out in Punjab because the government has ordered them not to sow water-intensive crops. And so it's all of government approach. Different instruments of power have to be applied together.
Okay, that is what India needs to do. I want to take a look. Want you to take a look at some of the reports that we've been filing through the day to day about how these operations were mounted, the kind of weapons and systems that have been used. Sandeep, if we were to talk about India's offensive, this is an offensive which isn't just restricted to Pahalgam. This is an offensive where, from the Parliament attack of 2001 to the Akshardham temple attack, and you and I have covered almost all of these, and many of these on ground zero, to the attack that took place at the Chinar Corps headquarters, where a VBIED or a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device was used to target the first VBIED incidentally in Kashmir. It's retribution for all of those.
It's retribution indeed, Gaurav. You and me remember 25 years of Pak-sponsored terrorism in India, across India, mainland India, Jammu and Kashmir. You and me have seen bodies blown to bits of our citizens. We have slipped in the blood of the marble floors of the Akshardham temple, where they massacred civilians at point-blank range, just as they did in Pahalgam. We were always told that the terrorists were coming from Murid Ke, they were coming from Bahawalpur, but there was something about these targets that made them almost unapproachable.
Platforms themselves which have made this possible. But, the whole day we've been discussing these matters very seriously. So let me come in lighter vein. After what has happened early this morning, if Asif Munir, the political leadership, or whatever is left of him in Pakistan, have a little bit of respect and responsibility, they should actually request permission from Prime Minister Modi, and both of them should fly down to India with folded arms and tell us, thank you very much for having eliminated the terror infrastructure in our country.
Oh, absolutely. A sane mind would do that.
Because they've always claimed that we are the victims of terror.
Yes.
So now today, let us remind them that we've sorted out your problem. Come, be bold enough and man enough to come to us and thank us for eliminating your terror infrastructure.
Except, I completely agree with you, Air Chief Marshal, except that there was a wreath that was laid on the mortal remains of perhaps a terrorist. We do not know. One body which was, the entire Pakistan army, deployment there. There were men in uniform, General Malik, who were lifting that coffin, and there were wreaths that were being laid on behalf of the Corps Commander, the GOC, and the Chief of the Army Staff. And what would that indicate if somebody has died in Muridke in an Indian missile strike and the Chief of the Army Staff lays a wreath? What is the signal there? And if I may, you said that they will retaliate. In what form is, in your understanding, sir, would that retaliation be?
Gaurav, if you recall, Pervez Musharraf had, in one of the interviews, he had said that these are my children.
Yes.
He used the word children as far as these terrorist organizations of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed are concerned. So I'm not surprised that the Pakistan Army and its brass has gone to Muridke to lay the wreath. That should be expected. Now, so as far as the retaliation is concerned, I don't think, we don't have any terrorist camps.
Yes.
So if they want to hit anywhere in India, it will either be a civilian asset that we have got, some important economic asset, or it could be Indian Army asset somewhere. But then when they do that, they will also have to realize that we will be further retaliating from our side and with a stronger mission on their side. But as I said, if they stop it, nothing like it, it will be good for both countries. But if they don't, we should be prepared for the worst.
And in your appreciation, Air Chief Marshal Major, are we on top of that escalation ladder that is often spoken of when it comes to conventional or sub-conventional warfare? They use terror as an instrument of state policy. So, they could send 10 more terrorists and target civilians in our country once again. But the cost for us, if we were to once again employ or deploy the kind of resources India did, again, is he bleeding us by this low-cost terror war?
If any sense prevails in them, they must lie low. Because in case they think or even dream of retaliating this strike on their 9 targets early this morning, they're asking for huge trouble. Because don't forget one thing, that before the strike on those 9 targets are carried out, the retaliatory ladder was already addressed in the planning of striking these 9.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that we've just hit those 9 targets and we are relaxed at home. No. The entire armed forces are on high alert. The paramilitary forces are on high alert. And they dare not, if they have any wisdom left in them, they dare not retaliate. Because this retaliation will probably not just cost them a few, very valued targets, but it might ruin that country forever and ever.
Forever and ever, you say. I mean, those are very strong words. General Malik, would the Pakistani retaliation, since all your lives you wargame this, would it be restricted to cross-border or cross-LC hotting up of the line of control, use of medium artillery, 155mm howitzers? And if I may, before the Ramzan ceasefire and after Kargil war, you had carried out punitive strikes against the Pakistani army along the LC. And if I remember correctly, that time even in the Leh-Ladakh sector, doesn't that bleed Pakistan even more?
Look, firstly, I totally agree with what Air Chief Marshal Fari Major has said just now, that there will be a very strong retaliation. And it is good for them to realize, for the Pakistan Army to realize that. But then I don't consider Pakistan Army and its present leader to be very rational in thinking. That's the unfortunate part. Having said that, yes, whatever is already going on along the line of control, that is one kind of retaliation which is they are taking. And they might hit some more villages on our side of the line of control or even international border in the Jammu-Kathua sector. That is also a possibility. I'm also reminded of post-Kargil war.
Yes.
You know, for one year almost, they made full use of whatever sleeping cells that they had on our side to cause a considerable amount of terrorist activity in Doda, Kishtwar, etc. And so that also cannot be ruled out. We have to be alert both along the line of control, international border, as well as inside. And retaliatory action, as it is, the kinetic action has already started off.
Okay.
And one thing good is that we are very strong today as compared to what we were in during Kargil war, and that strength gives us the ability to control escalation, to be able to dominate escalation.
So we dominate that escalation ladder, and I'd love to have both of you back on this debate in the coming days on the escalation ladder, specifically on the rungs of the escalation ladder and how we dominate it. I've run out of time on this part of the debate, but always such a privilege to have you on this broadcast, General Malik and Air Chief Marshal Fali Major. Learned so much from you, during Op Vijay, and of course during 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, and subsequently on air operations and more. That is all that I have for you on this special broadcast of India First. Many thanks for watching. Stay safe.
Detox teas cleanse your organs. Microwaving destroys nutrients. Cracking knuckles causes arthritis. Well, your feed is full of myths and your kitchen's a lab of unproven remedies. But what's the fact? What is fiction? We'll break it down for you. Myth busting with science, evidence and expert insights. Because your body deserves better than viral health hacks. This is L360. With me, Sneha Murdani.
So sorry. Ui, ada.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Oh, sorry. Ui, ada.
A group calling itself the Resistance Front has claimed responsibility for the attack. This group is a front for the UN-proscribed Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba. It is notable that India had given inputs about the TRF in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Earlier too, in December 2023, India had informed the monitoring team about Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed operating through small terror groups such as the TRF. Pakistan's pressure to remove references to TRF in the April 25 UN Security Council press statement is notable in this regard.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
So sorry. Ui, so sorry. Ui,
evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the news today on this big news day where India's mission to crush Pakistan-based terror has taken a major step forward. Operation Sindoor has targeted the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Toiba. And that in itself has sent a powerful message to Rawalpindi and the Pakistan headquarters. How is this all going to play up? Will we see a de-escalation? What's the message sent out by India's Operation Sindoor? Let's turn from there to the very latest that we are getting to you this evening now. The evacuations are taking place across the line of control in villages from Uri, Poonch and Rajouri, which have been the subject or the target of heavy Pakistani shelling, especially Uri and Poonch in particular. In fact, Poonch is where at least a dozen casualties have been reported. Indian forces now are also responding in kind to the Pakistani shelling on high alert across the LOC. As I said earlier, 15 civilians reportedly killed in Pakistan shelling near LOC is what the army is confirming as of now. So all the focus now at the moment is on the LOC. Remember last night, India went deep into Pakistan and we'll come to that in a moment. But first, to find out what's happening at the line of control, Shivani Sharma joins me. She's near the LOC. Sunil G. Bhatt, our correspondent, is also near the LOC. First you, Shivani, the Indian Army confirming at least 15 casualties, civilian casualties. Unlike India, which is targeting terror infrastructure in Pakistan, Pakistan seems to be now indiscriminately firing at villages along the border, along the LOC. What more can you tell us?
Rajdeep, I'm right now in the Uri sector close to the LOC, and we've been visiting the LOC and the farthest villages out there, and there the houses have been damaged in heavy artillery firing that has happened yesterday past midnight. And 15 casualties have been reported in the Poonch sector and Mendha sector, where we've seen how people have been injured and they are evacuated. They are leaving their houses. And Uri also, this picture remains grim because Pakistan is now targeting the innocent civilians, while the Indian Army has been retaliating and responding with their strikes at the military posts of Pakistan and not the civilians along the line of control. So now Pakistan seems to be perturbed after the strikes happened yesterday, and Operation Sindoor is a successful operation where 9 precision strikes happened, but the aftermath seems to be worrying the people along the line of control because there Pakistan started heavy artillery firing yesterday. Remember, for 12 days it was also violating the ceasefire with small arms, but yesterday it started heavy artillery firing. So there's a sense of worry in the people here in Uri sector too, and the alerts are on a high.
Sunil, you're also near the LOC. What we've seen places like Poonch, number of families, innocent civilians suddenly finding themselves being targeted by heavy artillery firing. Tell us more about the ground situation where you are.
Rajdeep, right now I am in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir, and Poonch district is the worst affected because Pakistan resorted to heavy shelling since V hours, and people are facing the brunt of Pakistani shelling. A rattled Pakistan is targeting innocent people, not just near the line of control, but even in Poonch city. Rajdeep, people living in Poonch city have been targeted, and I visited Poonch district and I have filed ground reports from there. Most of the city is empty. People have fled, and the town wears a deserted look. It's a curfew-like situation. Many houses have been damaged due to Pakistani shelling.
Is the shelling continuing?
12 people are confirmed that they have... Shelling has stopped, Rajdeep, but it has created massive panic in Poonch city. People have fled. I have seen that how people were fleeing. Some of them went in their own vehicles. Some of them were fleeing on foot, and there was massive panic among people. They were under fear, and they were saying that they fear for their lives because 12 people have lost their lives in Pakistani shelling in Poonch district alone, and more than 40 people are injured. They have been admitted in different hospitals. They are battling for their lives. Even innocent children have been targeted by Pakistani army. So it's clear that Pakistan is trying to escalate tensions here along the line of control, and Pakistan is targeting innocent people, non-combatants, and even Poonch city has not been spared. I spoke to many people there. They are saying that a situation like this was witnessed in 1971 when Poonch city was targeted. So people are under immense fear. That is why I saw that large number of people have already fled Poonch city, and the town wears a deserted look. High alert has been sounded across the length and breadth of Jammu and Kashmir, particularly in the areas along the line of control and India-Pakistan international border. And that is why administration is also evacuating people who are living near the line of control or near the India-Pakistan international border, because they are vulnerable sections of people. That is why administration is also making contingency plan, and people are being evacuated and taken to safer areas. Rajdeep.
Okay. As you can see, that's what's happening along the LOC. Shivani and Sunil, stay safe. Pakistan targeting civilian areas along the LOC. But India has struck at terror and terror camps in Pakistan. Not just in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but in Pakistan's Punjab province, the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur and the Lashkar-e-Toiba in Muridke. The attack coming, remember, exactly 2 weeks after the deadly terror attack on civilians in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam. The government said the actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature, adding that no Pakistani military facilities had been targeted. It's an operation that, in a sense, has sent a firm message to Islamabad and Rawalpindi. Take a look at just what happened late last night.
India avenges terror. At around 1:05 a.m. in an operation involving the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, fighter jets and drones rained missiles and bombs at multiple terror camps at 9 locations, 5 in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and 4 in Pakistan. In terms of scale and significance, the mission, codenamed Operation Sindoor, was the biggest since 1971 war. Much higher in the escalatory ladder compared with 2019 Balakot bombing. Operation Sindoor targeted terror outfits that were behind Parliament attack, 26/11 Mumbai attacks, and the most recent Pahalgam massacre. Among the 9 locations hit were Bahawalpur, the base of Maulana Masood Azhar's Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Muridke, the headquarters of Hafiz Saeed's Lashkar-e-Taiba. Muzaffarabad and Bhimber had previously been identified by Indian security agencies as transit and logistic points for infiltration into Kashmir. At a press briefing on Wednesday morning, the Indian government gave proof of the anti-terror strikes.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर 22 अप्रैल को पहलगाम में हुए विभत्स आतंकवादी हमले के शिकार मासूम नागरिकों व उनके परिवारों को न्याय देने के लिए लॉन्च किया गया था। इस कार्रवाई में 9 टेररिस्ट कैंप्स को टारगेट किया गया और पूरी तरह से इसे बर्बाद किया गया।
No military establishments were targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response. However, it must be said that the Indian armed forces are fully prepared.
The operation that started around 1:05 a.m. ended at 1:30 a.m., lasting 25 minutes. At 1:57 a.m., Pakistan confirmed the Indian attack. By 2:40 a.m., Pakistan began its retaliation, violating the ceasefire on the line of control. While the operation was extensive, no Pakistani military installations were targeted.
India exercised its right to respond and preempt, as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible.
India has sent out a strong message. Terror will not go unpunished. The ball is now in Pakistan's court. Will they learn their lesson or attempt another misadventure? Bureau Report, India Today.
And this time there is clear visual evidence that Pakistan and the terror links that it has have been struck at by the Indian armed forces. There is a video which has now emerged of Pakistani army honoring the killed terrorists in Murudke. Murudke is the Lashkar-e-Toiba headquarters. Pakistan army generals can be seen at the terrorist funeral. The soldiers are carrying coffins. The funeral of terrorists Qari Abdul, Khalid and Mudassir in Murudke was led by a Lashkar terrorist. That's the significance of this. Hafiz Abdul Rauf and several members of the civil bureaucracy stood there in attendance. In fact, there is a wreath placed by the Chief of Army Staff for the Murudke terrorists. So clearly, this has struck at the hub of terrorists in Murudke at the Lashkar headquarters. And remember, as I said earlier, Masood Azhar has also admitted through a statement issued from his office that at least 10 members of his relatives and 4 key associates have died in the Indian strike. What does all of this mean? How should we interpret Operation Sindoor? Are we now on an escalatory ladder? Those are the questions I want to pose. Joining me now, Colonel Ajay Shukla, Consulting Editor, Strategic Affairs and a Strategic Affairs Analyst. Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma joins me, former Adjutant General. KC Singh, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. Air Marshal BPS Rana is with us as well. And we'll be joined by other guests right through, including former Chiefs of Staff. I appreciate all of you joining us on the show today. I want to come to you, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma. What's your big takeaway from what has happened in the last 24 hours, purely in military terms? How significant is Operation Sindoor, the fact that we went all the way into Bahawalpur and Murudke and targeted terror camps?
Thank you, Rajdeep, for inviting me. The first and foremost is that we broke the glass ceiling. We crossed the Rubicon of hitting Punjab for the first time from 1971. We have been targeting POK over a long period of time, but hitting Punjab, which is the heartland of the Pakistan army, is also the heartland of Pakistan in Sialkot, in Bahawalpur, and in Murudke. All 3 places would have hurt Pakistan psychologically. It would have affected tremendously. That's one major issue. Second is that we have made sure that there is an escalation dominance. We did not do general mobilization. We did not order leave to be cancelled largely. And we carried out all these operations, giving clear indication that we have no intention of escalation to conventional war. So that became a clear hindrance to Pakistan in planning their operations thereafter. And third issue, which major one, is that there is now a ceasefire violation. The ceasefire, which was standing for last couple of years, is deemed as dead. And that's what the issue which now Pakistan is taking advantage of, which your correspondents, Shavani and all, were talking just now. So the fact of the matter is that there is a ceasefire violation. There are 600 kilometers of villages all along the line of control, right up to Samba, opposite Samba, which are targetable. It's not Poonch, Uri and Titwal alone, but there are areas of Nashera, of Joria, of areas of Katwa. So, there's a vast variety, large number of people who are tilling other side of the line of the fence. And these are becoming now areas. And the LG today morning ordered these people to be withdrawn. Sorry?
Right. And no, I get your sense. You made a very important point there about the first time we've broken a kind of Rubicon when we've gone into Punjab since 1971, when we've targeted Murudke and Bahawalpur. Ajay Shukla, do you believe that that is the big significance we've shown using missile technology, using our air power as well as military power to send out a message that we can do precise targeting? When I look at that statement of the that was issued last night by the government of India was very clear that these were measured, de-escalatory and focused targeted attacks.
Yes, there is no doubt about that. The entire planning of this current sort of trans-border incident has been done with a lot more sense and a lot more effort and a lot more sort of thought than had been done in the last two times when the surgical strikes were there and then followed by the Pulwama sort of truck attack. It is in a way the Indian Army getting ready for a new kind of war, putting its drills and so on in their place. In the morning today, the army had held a press conference where it showed the evidence of what it was trying to prove. It showed the evidence, the visual evidence of the buildings and so on, which were struck by the bombs from the Indian side. And all in all, it is just becoming more professional, more sort of clear, and with that, all that makes it easy for the spectators or for the people from abroad or from the international media to actually come and put together the thing and verify the story, as it were. So there are still a couple of things that need to be clarified and sort of presented. One of them being this allegations about the downing of Indian aircraft. But I'm sure that going by what I've seen today, the Indian Army probably would be able to muster up the evidence.
But there is no verifiable evidence as yet that Pakistan has provided, Ajay, on their claim that 5 Indian jets have been downed.
Yes, there absolutely has not been. Whatever little evidence I've seen is, a few parts of an aircraft lying here or there. That could be anything. It's not necessarily an Indian Air Force fighter plane that was down today. In fact, that evidence, the downing today and the freshness of the crash site is something that is very important at this point in time. But yeah, absolutely right. There has been no concrete evidence presented by the Pakistanis yet.
Marshal VPS Rana, the significance of what we've seen today, purely in terms of the kind of precision strikes, wherein air power and artillery power and military power has been used. You're on mute, sir. Yes.
Yes, Rajiv. So there are some very, very peculiar things about this particular attack. The first time India has done the preemptive. You please remember in 71 and earlier, it was always the Pakistan which had done the preemptive. This is the first time we have done preemptive, and we have done in Punjab, which you rightly covered. This is the first time that the terror network deep inside has been struck. But what is the most important point in this attack is, one, it is the selection is very, very careful. Each and every site has been linked to the previous terrorist attack. Then another important point is that the attack has been very, very precise. Third important point has been, it has been a synergized approach by the Army and Air Force combined. And probably that was the time taken where it has been a little delay. Probably was this to synergize all effort, all kind of weapons that have been used, the organic weapon of the army, the UAVs, the most likely it has been the air-launched cruise missiles, and also probably the other precise munition. So it is very, very carefully chosen, well-calibrated, very precise attack, not targeting any military, not having any collateral damage whatsoever. So thereby telling and signaling that we can go to wherever we want precisely, deep inside.
So you're saying it's been in that sense taken to another level, and that brings me, KC Singh, to a critical element of what we are seeing. when Uri happened, there was an element of deniability that Pakistan had, that we've suffered no damage. When Balakot happened, the Pakistanis said we've suffered no damage. This time, India has provided real-time evidence, both in its press conference, admirably conducted by two women officers, where they gave precise information, real-time video evidence, visual evidence, backed by the likes of Masood Azhar admitting that Jaish associates and family members have suffered losses by Lashkar holding funerals of their terrorists in Muridke. That seems to me the big difference. Would you agree that therefore this particular attack will carry far greater weight across global capitals as well?
Well, I'd like to add a few dimensions to it. One is, of course, under the UN Charter, Article 51 permits you self-defense, including a preemptive attack. So what we've done is not illegal. It's permissible under the UN Charter. But more than that, it was also retaliatory. And that's what Prime Minister said in his speech, that we will hunt these guys who have done what they have done in Pahalgam. So it's not just a preemptive attack, it's also a retaliatory attack. But you're absolutely right. Going into Punjab and to the headquarters of Jaish and Lashkar, it's always been thought of, always, I think, after 26/11. Probably it was considered, then the Americans stepped in because they were still in Afghanistan. We didn't do it. But the other, elephant in the room is the nuclear capability of Pakistan. So there's a nuclear bluff that Pakistan has been using, and it is not a coincidence that Pakistan starts using terror against India as a weapon from about the end of 1980, when they already had developed the nuclear weapons. They didn't do that earlier. So the two things go together. And that's why about a week ago, when I'd written a piece and I said, before we go after the headquarters of these groups, we need a good missile defense. We need something like what Israel has. Then you don't need blackouts and so on and so forth. The signal goes out to Pakistan that 5 or 6 major cities will be protected and your missiles will have 2 chances in 100 to penetrate. But once you fire them, we'll obliterate you, which means you eliminate Pakistan's nuclear bluff. This time we've gone without that, but we are calling their bluff because after all, see, even Ukraine is fighting Russia. Russia keeps saying, I'll use nuclear weapons. But countries cannot use nuclear weapons just whimsically. They'll not be acceptable globally. So we have called their bluff. We said we are doing it. Now, let's see what you want to do next. And that is why I think it's important how Pakistan reacts. Will it be just symbolic, like they did last time? They kind of came and hit outside a military facility, and they said, that's it. But they had also downed one of our planes, and so on and so forth. Now, this time they are again claiming they've downed 5 planes. Interestingly, India has not spoken up. We've not denied it. We've not questioned it. It may be useful if they think that can satisfy the Pakistani public opinion, and they need not retaliate very harshly. Then we can probably come to some kind of an understanding. But the problem that still remains is the use of water. Because we've said the Indus Water Treaty is in abeyance. We started stopping and releasing water and therefore showing that water can be a weapon. That'll also be in the Pakistani minds. And therefore, what is interesting is, do they do a symbolic attack or do they choose specific targets? I'm worried about one thing. One of the MPs said, you've gone after our mosques, we'll go after your temples. Now, if they start going after some prime temples in the Jammu area, that can worsen the polarization in India. And the second is, if they come after, just one point, if they come after the dams that we have in Jhelum and Chenab and say, because India is stopping the water, we are taking it out, that'll be very popular in Pakistan, but that would escalate it. So I don't know where Pakistan wants to stop.
With due regard, Casey, let's not speculate, because we could speculate endlessly about what Pakistan does. I look at Shahbaz Sharif's statement. He's trying to, in some way, it appears, try to clutch at straws. You've got the military in Pakistan, which clearly has been taken aback, I think, by the skill with which this operation has been carried out, the seamless skill with which it has been carried out. So we don't know what Pakistan will do next. But General Sharma, you want to quickly come in on that? What are the possibilities of the kind of retaliation that Pakistan will do? A quick comment on that.
Thank you. See, the first point is that Pakistan has a short window. They don't have a window of 2 weeks like what we had to target, because they'll come under international pressure. They have a whole lot of money packed up to come back to Pakistan, so they can strike tonight or tomorrow night. Beyond that, the window will close. So the Pakistan's timing is very short. Now, what can they do? Can they, like you rightly pointed out, can they take saying whatever we have done is enough? So bask into the glory of the villages being hit and also aircraft downed, and then they say some brigade headquarters have been hit as what's been stated in Pakistan. Is that sufficient?
But that's all propaganda. There are no brigade headquarters. You see, the problem is Pakistan at the moment is thriving on propaganda just to satisfy a domestic constituency. The truth of the matter is what Operation Sindoor has done, General Sharma, is expose the terror links. When I see terrorists with the army generals in Muridke at the funeral of terrorists.
The point is kinetic response. Yes. So the other part of the story is that they try and do a kinetic response, something beyond it. Like Ambassador K.C. Singh has said about the water, we have cut 11 times less water has reached Marala headworks in Chenab in 24 hours. So, you know, the total water supply in Marala headworks in Chenab has gone down nearly to zilch. So there is a great amount of damage which is happening on the water supply in the Kharif crop, which is May and June. So that also is an issue around here. I would just say in the end is that where can they hit? They have no terrorist camps to hit in India. Can they hit in a infrastructure? If they hit an infrastructure, they will get a debilitating attack back into their infrastructure. Would they hit into some kind of military establishment or airfields? Well, that can be an option of taking an odd thing. Or lastly, to a choreographed response, what they did after Balakot, hit somewhere vacant land ground and said, look, we didn't hit your camp or we didn't hit your airfields, but we hit close to it and we have the capability of hitting it. So they have multiple options here.
Before we go into what options Pakistan has, let's focus on what's happened today once again. Because I think today is significant in more ways than one in the manner in which the messaging has taken place. Javed Ashraf, former Indian ambassador to France and someone who's worked closely with the National Security Advisor's office, is also joining me. Javed, what is the significance, you believe, of what's happened in the last 24 hours?
Well, I think it is enormous. First of all, it is not a surprise given the kind of clarity with which the Prime Minister has repeatedly drawn the line on the objectives of our retaliation, and given the fact that over the last few years, our increasingly aggressive posture on counter-terrorism hasn't deterred Pakistan from persisting with the campaign of terrorism against India. So this was, in a sense, expected. Muridke and Bahawalpur are extremely important for all of us who have followed terrorism from Pakistan. Know that these are the two major nurseries of terrorism. Even the United States couldn't get them to dismantle these when they were trying to condition assistance and specifically mention these establishments. So going after these two, in addition to the 7, is a hugely symbolic and a real measure of showing that we are capable of going beyond anticipated and war-gamed responses to Pakistan's persisting campaign of terrorism against India. And so this is very, very important. Second, I think it has shown that we have been able to mobilize ourselves in a matter of couple of weeks for a strike of this nature, taking into account the prospect of retaliation, for which we would mean that we would also have to be in a position to dominate the future steps of escalation. So all of these would have been wargamed. It shows our political leadership and our military leadership is prepared to take acceptable risks, and that we have also, speaking internationally, reversed the terms of responses or patterns of responses after each major attack. In the sense, in the past, we would end up having international community intervene to de-escalate. I mean, if you remember, even after Mumbai and before that in Parliament attack, but this time, by taking a preemptive steps to, we have, in a sense, given the international community a fait accompli. So this is a very important step. And that we've also shown the world, in a sense, that if no one else is going to come behind, in taking a very clear position on terrorism emanating from Pakistan, then we are prepared to act on our own. And any military action will not be without consequences, without cost. The big question that we would have wargamed is what is the real Pakistani calculation, thinking, capability, and capacity to respond, given the fragility of their economy, the political instability inside the country. And so I think that, as you just heard, when we look at what the responses will be, I mean, we don't have a terrorism infrastructure for them to attack. They will either be civilian infrastructure or civilian targets or military targets, in which case they are saying that we are declaring a full-scale war. And I think that will lead to a level of retaliation from India, which would, be very hard for them to respond to. And second, I think their international position will be even further weakened as a result. So all in all, I think, last night, I mean, it's an evolving situation, but I think it does take a lot of political courage and clarity. And also, I think for the military to be able to take this kind of a measure and simultaneously attack 9 sites, including 2 very important ones.
But Javed, has it acted, you believe, as a deterrent? The big question now is, have what we've done in the last 24 hours pushed Pakistan into a situation where, for all the rhetoric, there is now a recognition that we have reworked our own strategic doctrine and used kinetic action to another level to push Pakistan into a situation where they have limited options?
Now, I don't think that this may be a deterrent for some time, but remember, this can act as a great mobilizing force, whether it is, water, for example, is a very emotional subject. You've seen that, and I've just written about it. You've seen that in the context of India and Nepal. You've seen that in the context of India and Bangladesh, happens between states in India. So that becomes a major rallying point to recruit people to the cause. The increasing disruption of ties between our countries is easy to get people to fall for life's, sacrificing causes. It is also, remember, this attack like this can be a force for mobilization. And for a country,
I'm showing images there of Masood Azhar, someone who, remember, has been involved in major attacks, whether it's been on Parliament, whether it's been on Pulwama, the Jaish has been involved. Has the message gone to groups like Jaish and Lashkar in a manner that never went in the past?
You see, the message is very clearly there that there is no shield of security anymore for them. But that does not mean that Pakistan will not find new ways, or the Pakistan military will not find new ways to create camps, to create new infrastructure. We've seen that in other cases also. I mean, you've seen the limits of military force from Sahel to Middle East to Afghanistan in absolutely dismantling and terrorism network or deterring future attacks, particularly when it is the sword and the shield of a major military power in our region. So I think there will be a level of deterrence. There will be a level of uncertainty. The playbook has changed. The shield of security may have vanished, but I think it would perhaps require, a great leap of faith to say that we have, in a sense, deterred any future terrorist attacks from us. We'll have
in a moment, I'm going to be joined by Air Chief Marshal Bhaduria and former Army Chief Bikram Singh. But a final word from you there, KC Singh. Do you believe that the world today will stand with India given what's happened?
Look, it's largely known who will stand with you. If Turkey is standing with Pakistan today, the Greeks came out in a favor. The Chinese position is the most interesting. They have condemned the attacks, but they're not taking a very aggressive position. Because remember, with the trade war with US, they're also looking at India as a potential market. If their trade war with US worsens, they need India. So it's not visible. The Chinese may be playing very silently a positive role, hopefully a positive role in restraining the Pakistanis. We'll know over the next few days, because it doesn't suit them to open a new front in South Asia when they still haven't settled their trade war with US, which they consider as of existential danger to them. So there's a big change because of what Trump has done to the world. The whole world is distracted. For instance, who brought about the de-escalation last time? President Trump. He was somewhere in East Asia. He intervened, and within 2-3 days, we got an Air Force pilot back, and we had the elections coming up. The same Trump today said, "Oh, I see, this has happened. They've been fighting." But what he meant is, "I'm too busy. Go and sort out your problem." So the world is different. I think we have a lot more space to act independently. And also, some of the alliances are changing, some of the combinations are changing, but we have space at the moment geostrategically to act independently.
Okay, I just want to give Ajay Shukla also a final word. Ajay, what's according to you, in a way, why is this day significant?
Well, the day is significant, Rajdeep, because of the nature of what has been attempted and launched from the Indian side, which is deep attacks inside Pakistan in order to create deterrence. But I am just call me skeptical, but I believe that there is always room in an operation like this to get it better, to get it right. So that the next time you have to do it, you don't make the same mistakes, you don't have to incur the same casualties and so on. So well done, I would say, Indian Air Force, but make sure that you keep your nose to the grindstone, develop your drills and so on well, and the next time round it'll go hopefully even more smoothly.
Let me leave it there. I appreciate my guests joining me at this moment. I want to go to two other special guests who are joining me, who've been at the top of the ladder when it comes to the Air Force and the Army. I'm joined by General Bikram Singh, former Indian Army Chief. I spoke to him earlier. And Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria, who joins me live, former IAF Chief, was in charge till not too long ago. Air Chief Marshal Bhadoria, give our viewers a sense of what this operation involved. Just explain the nature of this operation, the difficulties of conducting an operation like this, sir.
This would have been a very complex operation. Firstly, the choice of target was very deliberate, and after, I think, great amount of due diligence, looking at the overall direction of the Honorable Prime Minister, a very, very strong choice of targets, very wide in terms of its geographical expanse, total number of targets, the kind of terrorist organizations that have been targeted, their infrastructure. So firstly, the choice of target, the complexity. Next is the weapons that need to be matched. You need to have pinpoint accuracy. Some of the targets are very close to other infrastructure, civilian infrastructure. So it had to be very precise. Collateral damage had to be absolute minimum. The entire target system had to be struck in a very compressed time frame. And whenever you have so many targets and this kind of nature of attack, there are complexities in terms of, especially when the adversary is fully on alert and fully deployed operationally, there are complexities in terms of its execution, so that it goes through well. So overall, it would have been a complex
And this is without entering a Pakistani airspace. Unlike in Balakot, where we entered Pakistan, this has been done without entering Pakistani airspace. We've used the latest technology and the aircrafts to do this pinpoint targeting. Am I correct?
Yes, that's what we hear, that there was no need to enter the airspace as such, because of the kind of weapons that are now available, the kind of standoff ranges, and number of weapons with various ranges and various combinations for the kind of targets that we were attacking. So there would have been no need to enter, but still, it is a complex kind of mission, because many of these weapons need very accurate information and very sensitive handling. So overall, mission, I think, well executed by the three services, well integrated, because all services are involved in some way or the other, in either the mission directly or in combination wherever such tasks are undertaken, because immediately when the target is struck, you take the services to next higher level of operational readiness, some deployments change, your war deployments come up in order to
So
be
we
in
moved on
position
that.
to be...
We moved Air Chief Marshal to the next level from what we did in Balakot. Am I correct?
In terms of operational deployment, yes. When you undertake attack at such targets, immediately before that you do not move or do not show your moves because you don't want to give away and you don't want to lose the location, surprises, etc. But after having done this, you need to be prepared for any response from the Pakistani side, and therefore it will entail going up to the next higher level of readiness and deployments. So overall, it would have been a very busy day for the defense services. And I think from target perspective, the targets have been well stuck. The damage is quite visible from our own, information that was displayed in the briefing, and from Pakistan itself, the kind of videos that have emerged and the pictures that have emerged. So very clearly, all targets stuck successfully, and a very robust response to the Pahalgam heinous attack by the terrorists.
Let me go to General Singh. What do you see this as the significance of Operation Sindoor? Going deep into Pakistani territory, targeting terror bases in Pakistan, have we taken our strike capability in a sense to another level?
Yes, indeed, Rajdeep. I think it's a fitting response to Pakistan's carnage, the killing of our innocent tourists in Pahalgam. And the death that has been actually undertaken at this point of time, or I would say last night in the operations, does send a very clear message that, look, we mean business and we are going to take on terrorists wherever they are. The very fact that 9 camps have been targeted, destroyed, 4 of which are in opposite the international border, and 5 are in POK, it gives a very clear message that, look, we mean business and we are not going to accept this any further.
The fact is that in the past, we've shown strategic restraint. Even after 26/11 Mumbai, that was our doctrine. Since then, we've had Uri, Pulwama, now Pahalgam, and the approach seems to be gradually calibrated to have a more kinetic action. Have we seen, therefore, in your view, a completely changed policy direction when it comes to tackling Pakistan-based terror? And every time a terror strike happens, India now is on an escalatory spiral with Pakistan.
Absolutely, absolutely, Rajdeep. I think we were rather timid, I would say, earlier, whenever a terrorist attack took place, we were timid. But come Mr. Modi and his government and the directions that they have given to the military, I think we mean business. We've done it in the past at Balakot, we've done it now. And I think Pakistan would be mindful of this in future. But then the point is, they will palm it off to the terrorists. They'll say, look, we haven't done it. It's the terrorists who are doing it. They are not in our control, or they are not perhaps operating from our soil. They're operating from some other areas and all. So the point is, we got to be cautious, all right. While we've given them the right message, we cannot be off guard. We got to continue to, think of various contingencies which may arise at the tactical, at the operational, and at the strategic level.
You say, General, that we've abandoned our policy of timidity to take Pakistan head on, but there are also concerns, perhaps, that we are also putting ourselves, as I said earlier, on an escalatory spiral now, and that can lead to a misadventure or a miscalculation. We've seen heavy artillery firing in the last 24 hours across the LOC by the Pakistanis. At least 15 civilians have already died. Villages are being evacuated. Should that be a cause of concern? Once you're in a kinetic action mode, how do you press the pause button? Does that worry you at all?
Well, if ask me frankly, we have already declared, the Foreign Secretary this morning, when he spoke, he brought it out, it is non-escalatory in nature. That means we don't intend escalating it. It is up to Pakistan now. And I think Pakistan has already got a bloody nose. They might try and escalate. To what level they do it, where they do it, how they do it, is something which is going to decide as to how we are going to react. So that is something. But otherwise, I think we should be prepared in future to die. But I think these things do happen. And this is how they have casualties in future. But I think this response has got to be there every time they do something like this, and especially of the nature which happened at Pahalgam.
About two-nation theory, Kashmir being a jugular vein, then you have Pahalgam. Do you believe that the Pakistani army, already embattled at home, will have to do some serious soul searching after what India has done? Is there any fear that will come in with the way we've targeted the Pakistan proxies, the jihadi proxies in Muridke and Bahawalpur?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. But let me tell you, they will try and definitely do something, as a face saver, because the statement that their chief made, as you just brought out, given that statement, given his stance, given his going around and trying to show that the military of Pakistan is ready, he's speaking to the people with 4 stars on a tank. I saw that in one of the, WhatsApp messages which were sent to me. So that kind of thing he's been doing. Now, having done that and not reacting, I think will show that cowardice on his part. So I think they are definitely going to do something, but it will be at the tactical level. They are already actually taking on, they are fired on the line of control. That's where we've had casualties. They will continue to fire, engage the line of control. But given our positions, given our robustness along the line of control, I think we'll be able to maintain the moral ascendancy.
Chief Marshal Bhadoria, do you believe also that what we've done will act as a deterrent to Pakistan, or do you believe that the Pakistani army is desperate enough, the armed forces and the army chief, General Asim Munir, desperate enough to carry on some kind of an escalatory spiral? Is that a genuine fear?
In the immediate aftermath of this attack that we have done, I think they would be desperate enough, and he will not stop here. They would act irrationally in all probability, and there would be, like General Vikram Singh said, an element of response from their side. If there is some sense of rationality, the response should be measured, reasonably calibrated, but they would respond for sure. And on our side, we need to be prepared for such an action and ensure that we defend effectively. So I'm sure our defense forces are well prepared to do that. But in the long run, I think, Rajdeep, for an act like Pahalgam, it was really important to do this kind of action and a very robust response, because a very clear message needed to go, which has gone, that it cannot be accepted. Apart from zero acceptance of terror, which is the policy of Government of India, the nature of this barbaric attack was such that it had to be responded, and it is time we call out. Second issue, I think, is that it is not only the terrorists who were struck. I think Pakistan Army's support to terror and ISI's direct involvement, the direct kind of green light or direct support, covert and overt, from Pakistan Army chief in this case, the world has seen through their narrative that they are not involved, it is not in their control, they are not behind it, is nobody is buying.